was a kid, I was always a Lambo guy. I love Lamborghinis. You know, again, growing up in a manufactured home trailer, you know, it's just these things seem so far out of reach to you, but you keep them as goals. You know what I mean? It's that one day dream, right? I had the Countach poster on my wall that, you know, had the white Lamborghini, the little scissor doors, you know, the early 90s with the checkered floor and the blue background. Super popular poster. Some of you guys may remember that thing. I think I bought it at like a book fair at my school at the time. And I made it a goal. I said, man, I really, you know, what really drove me to that was I remember getting my truck washed. And this is where the turning point for me was that made me really decide to push for it. Was I was getting my truck washed one day over off like Val Vista and Williamsville. There's a car wash over there. And I had my old pickup as a 2005 Chevy at the time. And I remember I was driving it through this car wash and was sitting there waiting. And here comes a Lamborghini through this friggin' car wash, which just absolutely blew my mind because this wasn't even like a nice hand wash detail. This was literally one of those places where you just drive your car through and it's got the spinny brushes on, you know, the shit that's not good for your paint. And this kid was just driving this Lambo through this place. And I remember it pulls up and the doors pop up and I'm like, man, look at that freaking car. That's amazing. It's probably one of the first times I think I even saw one in person, to be honest with you guys, you know. And I remember walking over to this guy and it's like, man, that damn thing's beautiful. Like, how much did that car cost you? And he told me it was like $300 and something thousand. And like my mind just broke at that point, guys. Like I call that, when I say break your brain, right? This was the time that my brain broke. This was such a turning point for me. Because I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Well, actually, I got two. I got one that's was my first one that I had bought in a few years back, and that was a Gallardo, which was the model right before the Huracan, the one that he had." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Man, this kid's not much older than I am." So, and he's got two Lamborghinis, you know, and I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, all right, I'm making 60, 70K a year. If I'm doing the math on it's going to take me 5, 6, 7 years to be even able to ever save up for this friggin' car. And that's not paying my mortgage. That's not feeding my kids. That's not doing anything. That's just straight paychecks. And guys, it broke my friggin' brain. It made me think about things so different because I was like, man, there's people out here doing this. There's young guys out here doing this. It's possible. You know what? There's got to be a better way to live. If these guys are living this way and they're making this kind of money, why am I not doing this? Why am I playing so small? That was the turning point for me right there, guys. That point in time just broke my brain to be like, okay, there's more than this. It's okay to push. You can go friggin' harder. You can figure this out. You got to break through your ceilings right now, you know? And so I set a goal for myself. I said, man, I'm going to make a goal. That's it. I think at the time I was like 27 or 28 when I saw this guy driving this thing. And I said, by the time I'm 35, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to own one. I don't quite know how I'm going to get there, but I am going to save up and buy one. It's the next goal. And so, yeah, guys, I saved up. And by the end of 2020, I was 34 at the time, I think. I wasn't quite 35. I'd saved up enough money to pay cash. And that was the promise I made to myself, that if I bought something like that, it was going to be cash.